Okay, this is my my third time recording this, and I think I've just been like kind of making it really long-winded, but I just want to try and make it short and sweet. Okay, so if this video is longer than like 20 minutes, it's not going up. But yeah, I'm watching right now. It's the Esports World Cup 2024, and we're on the last day, so there's only four teams left. Um, but I wanted to talk about the amateur teams, right? Because they got absolutely destroyed, right? They got bounced out of the tournament, and it was expected. I think no one expected them to make it through. No one expected them to make top eight. No, it wouldn't be top eight. It would be like even top 12 would be a shock. It was a shock if they were to win any. Yeah, it would have been a shock if they won against any of the pro teams, right? And some of them did make top 12, so well done. But top eight was seen as basically unassailable, like not gonna happen. And remember, these are the top. They're just outside the CDL, so these are basically the top 16 teams, like the 13 through 16 team. So you would expect, you'd expect them to maybe be a little bit competitive. And some people might say, "Wait, why would you expect that? They're amateurs." I'm gonna show you why you'd expect that. Okay, we'll go. I'm just gonna start by going through the previous years. Okay, like I thought I'd start from IW. In the previous times I recorded, I went all the way back to AW. That's what I mean about it being stupidly long-winded. But I think you can start from here. Okay, and just have a quick look. So the Global Pro League started in IW, right? So that's the first time I think we had a proper international league where everyone knows who the pros are, and the pros are the best 16 teams in the world. Like the same as it is now, but it's now 12 teams in the world. So if you weren't in the top 16 teams in the world, you're not a pro. So let's have a look. And I think each so yeah, this is World Championships, right? Each of these groups, I'm pretty sure has two pro teams, two amateur teams. Okay. So we go through Group A. Optic and Epsilon make it through. They were the two pro teams, right? Very, very good teams as well. These were two top 8 teams by far. Like, of course, like everyone expected them to get top 8 at this event. Then we have Envy, but look at this one, Mindfreak Black. Can you imagine? Not only this is a bit of a tangent, but not only is this an amateur team, this is an Australian amateur team. Have you seen how the Australian teams do even in the open bracket nowadays? And this is also because of the CDL. They get smoked. They are like top 64 type level. I haven't checked like exactly, but they basically they get bounced. And it's similar teams like with Fighter and those kind of players still playing. But because of the lack of support now, like they're not even on the same level as the top challengers. So compared to the league, forget it. So can you imagine an amateur Australian team doing this? It's insane. Look, okay, you could say, oh, well, they only beat Elevate. And that's fair enough. But even against the worst teams in the league now, it's seen as a massive upset if they win. Case in point, Gentlemates beat G2. That was seen as quite a big upset. G2 are terrible. G2 are shocking. They're a brand new team as well. But anyway, we'll go to Group C as well. Sorry, like I said, I'm going to try and not make it long-winded. Infused. They beat Mindfreak. Mindfreak, a very solid pro team. Infused get through. Infused was a amateur European team at the time with like Nolson, Alex, Niall, Delio, right? They got through. And then this one, Group D, we have two pro teams. Allegiance gets through over Red Reserve, but this is yeah, we've all seen this before. It's stupid three-way tie nonsense. So again, maybe you could say that's a bit strange. Then we have Straight Ripping making it through over I think EG with a pro team. Maybe it was Tainted Minds, but there's still Straight Ripping was an amateur team, and also quite a new amateur team because Dashi had only just recently turned 18, right? So they were pretty new, and Temp as well, I think, was pretty new to being 18. So but they make it through. And then we have here. I think these might have both been in the league, but maybe not. Maybe Ghost. I don't remember exactly. But we go to this next one. And yeah, both the pro teams make it through here. But even so, look at it. Even if Ghost Gaming aren't are a pro team, which I think they were, it's 1, 2, 3, 4 complete amateur teams making it into the top 16. And remember, at this point, like these are the top 20. These are the 17 through 20th teams as well. So it makes you think, like, if the 17th to 20th teams are competing against pro teams, but now you can't even get the 13th best team to compete against the 12th best team, what's going on? It's crazy. And we go to the again, we're just another example, and this is a crazier one, to be honest. It gets crazier, like, ever since the Pro League gets invented in IW, somehow, because there's still opens, right? Well, apart from the next year, but in these 2 years, there's still opens in IW and World War II. So you expect you would expect the gap to widen a little bit, though, right? Because you've got a global pro league, you've got the pros and then the AMs, but it actually gets closer, as you can see here. Lightning Pandas, amateur team, they get through. They beat TK. This is World Championship 2018, so this is World War II. Team Caliber make it to the final. Remember, they lose to a pro team. Can you imagine? Again, I don't know who's in the final because it's not happened yet, but we'll take the COD champs, right? Can you imagine Optic Gaming losing to to an amateur team? Never gonna happen. Let's see the score. Yeah, can you imagine? Okay, it was game 5, but can you imagine even taking 2 maps off Optic or NYSL? Never gonna happen. Never gonna happen. This one as well. Lethal Gaming, but again, this was only tainted mine to beat, so maybe less impressive. But even so, like I keep saying, even against the lower tier opposition, you're not getting this kind of performance out of amateur teams anymore. Next one, Ghost Gaming, I think they were definitely an amateur team at this point, because Mindfreak were the pros. They get through again. This one, look at this one. Team Sweden. 3-0. Beating Splicing United. Can you imagine that? Like, not only winning, not only like scraping through, top in the group. This one, both the pro teams go through, and same with the Group F, and Group G. Yeah, Vitality, right? This was Tommy goes into the amateur scene and then makes his Vitality team, and they beat Echo Fox. Okay, yeah, again, it's one thing, but look how it's slowly building. There's so many results. Amateur teams, and all amateur teams are getting results against pro teams, right? And then we all know this one, Group H. Look at this, Elevate, right? Elevate getting through in second. I guess you can say, oh well, you know, it's only second or whatever, and you know they were ahead of this Optic, but this wasn't a real Optic team. This was a terrible Optic team. Yeah, maybe you can say that, but think about it. They're 2-1. We all know EG beat Optic, so that means Elevate didn't beat Optic. Elevate must have lost Optic. Who did they beat? They beat the world champions. Again, imagine if the amateur teams were in COD champs this year, and Optic Gaming lost to one of them. That would never ever happen. It just can't. It just wouldn't happen. We go to the last one before proper franchising, and this is where you can see that the gap had still not closed, right? The gap, yeah, the gap. It hadn't closed because look, you have here you have 2 pro teams going through. But this one, Group B, Gen G were one of the top teams. They go 0-3. They lose to War and Fuego. Not happening. It's not happening today. Anyway, yeah, I'm just gonna skip because you get the point. And we'll go to obviously then CDL happens, franchising comes in, and the COVID pandemic happens as well, which might have affected it because then that means that we don't have another pro-am event for 3 years. The amateurs don't play the pros until 2022, so that was 2019. And I'll just get the I'll get the results up, right, and I'll just point out the amateur teams where they got. So the highest placing amateur team, they all placed top 12. And remember, once again, I'm just going to reiterate, these were the 16 teams. Like, I'm not going to go into detail about like the 12 through 16 teams in the league and how they do, because that's too complicated. And you could say, oh, well, they were playing against the league teams. I'm just talking about the amateur teams, and they're all making it past top 16. Look, that's 4 amateur teams, 9 through 12. Never happening now. You get 1 scraping into the top 12, maybe. And again, here we go, Pro-Am Classic. So there's been three events now where amateur teams have played against pros. Let's see, have any of them made it through to, like, you know, just making it through the group stage? That would be good. But look at this one. Strike X. Oh, they beat a Seattle Surge team. Still 3rd. Terrible. Ultra EU. This was a good team. This was Beans' team. This was a team, right? That Crimsick said he played. And when he played Beans, again, it might have been tongue-in-cheek, but he said that he thought Beans was that good. He kind of wanted to retire there and then. They got bounced. They got destroyed. And also War, again, 0-3. And this one, Ultra NA, 3-way tie again. We know how we feel about them. They're not good. But they didn't get through. And this was a stacked Ultra NA team. This is probably, I would say, one of the best. It's probably the best amateur team since the CDL. This is the best challenger team of all time, I would say. Let's have a look. Let's have a look at the roster. We all know it. Hixie, Scrappy, Vickle, and Mohawk. Yeah. They're the best. It's the best challenger team of all time. And even they couldn't make it through, right? Whereas, like I showed you before, Team Sweden got top of their group in COD Champs, in the Black Ops 4 COD Champs. No, the World War II COD Champs, sorry. And we go to this one, which was last year, 2023. And they had to play. They had to play a little playing bracket to even get into the game, like the old style open bracket. So these were actually, the best teams there at the time as well. And again, bounced. Decimate Gaming bounced. This Spanish team, and again, this Spanish team becomes a Heretics team. So we know they're kind of good players, right? If they have the practice against the pro teams, bounced. We got LAG Academy. They win against a terrible London team in Game 5, and then bounced. And last one, we have Elevate. Elevate won. Look, they got there, but nope, still not making it through the. They're still not making it through. And we've seen the World Cup as well. So here we go. I'm at Brooklyn, bounced. Gentlemates, they got 1 win. Well done. But then, it's an unfortunate bracket for Gentlemates, we know that. But even so, like, this is 3 events and not 1 team has made it out of the groups. I just showed you the 3 previous World Championships, and they were getting out of the groups no problem. And it was actually increasing, like it was getting more and more. So, to be honest, I don't have the solution. I don't really know why. I think it's just another casualty of franchising, and I think it's a shame. I don't know. I just had to get that off my chest. So, okay, I'm just recording this extra bit as like a little nitpicky point, just because someone might bring it up, and I just want to be able to nip it in the bud here. which is Boston Breach are technically kind of an amateur team, and they did relatively well. Okay, they at least got out of the group. But I'll just say it right now, like in comparison to the examples I've given, that's not very good. And I'll show you why. Look at their group. They beat Heretics and the Stallions. Heretics, as we said, they had an off day. It happens, and you know, in the other examples, the other teams might have had off days too, but it's one team. It's an outlier, right? They played really badly. And then we have the Stallions, which are an amateur team. So it's not really comparable to an amateur team getting out properly. It would be like we don't really rate Law's win over Falcons because they're both amateur teams. They're both challengers. And compare it to the ones that we've gone through, like for example Team Sween or Justice. Some of those teams came top of their group. I'm thinking of I just thought of another example as well, because like I've said, I was just doing the last event for these examples, last event of each season. But the most famous one, E6, when Enigma 6 broke out, they crushed their group as well, like 4-0. They won every match. And that's the sort of stuff that used to happen, but it just wouldn't happen now. Because we're talking to get out of a group, right? Now, because it's the GSL style, you just need to win 2 matches. So if Boston went 2-0, if they'd have won a fluky game 5 against Toronto, then maybe I could say, you know, fair enough, they did well. But I just think that it still doesn't really count. And there's clearly a problem here. Again, this is probably just going to be tacked onto the end because it's just of the video. Just because it's, like I said, a really nitpicky point, but I wanted to talk about it anyway, just because I know some people might be thinking, like, oh, why am I not talking about Boston? I'm just ignoring them to push an agenda. Like, I'm not. It doesn't really prove anything. And actually, while we're here, the last part of the video, I should just say, I'm not saying that I want amateurs to, like, dominate the pro league. Like, that wouldn't make any sense. Obviously not. But it's just the complete lack of competitiveness, which is really strange to me. And it's also a little bit strange how I don't see anyone else, like, picking this up. Obviously, amateurs beating pro teams is always going to be an upset. But just the absolute annihilation that's happening now, that's new. And, like, again, that's post-CDL. That's pretty new. Like, amateurs used to be able to actually compete. So I think it is a problem, like I said before. And I just think it needs to be sorted. I don't really have that. Again, the only way to really sort it is to just completely get rid of franchising and make everything open again. Which, you know, there's rumors that that's slowly but surely happening, and I'm hoping it does sooner rather than later, to be honest. Just because it makes it more fun. Like, compare this tournament, right, to all of the COD champs that we just talked about. It's not even close. It's a bit sad. The state of COD tournaments now are a bit sad compared to those massive 32 team extravaganzas we used to have. Like, it's not comparable, to be honest. But yeah, that's the true end of the video. Sorry for the shoddiness. It's my first time recording. But yeah, thanks so much for listening, and yeah, I hope to get better at this. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one.